Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 110 of Cameron's Nostalgia Podcast. We made it all the way to 110 episodes of my show. I'm Cameron's I'm your host, Cameron Strickland. Today I have with me David Kahler. How are you?
I'm doing great, Cameron.
Now for any of you guys that don't know, David is a set designer for Sesame Street 4D and the Dooley and Pals Show. And he's done multiple work for Nickelodeon.
That I have.
It was nice to meet you.
Likewise.
So let's begin our first question.
All righty.
How did you get interested in set designing?
Long story. Okay. About 50 years ago, I dropped out of graduate school, decided I wanted to work in film in Florida, went and found a job on a movie, and a year later went and worked on another film. And then in 1974, moved my family, my wife and I, and a new baby to California to learn and work in the film industry. So I've worked film, television, and theme parks in production as an assistant director, as as prop person, as a prop master. In Florida, we moved back in 1984, and in 80 back to Florida in 89. I got a job as prop master on the Adventures of Superboy TV series shot in Orlando. And we did 4 years of that, did some work at film, sort of died out in Orlando, and I migrated into theme park work. Most of my work is as an art director. On Dooley and Pals, I was a set designer. Someone else had um, done some preliminary work. I just got it all built and dressed out, hired the art crew. Um, so as film work went away, it's still sort of the same job, art direction, just figuring out how to get it done on time, on schedule, and how to make it work. Um, Worked on a lot of interesting projects. I'd seen uh, on your podcast that you had interviewed one of the Sesame Street puppeteers. He had worked with us on the um, Sesame Street 4D movie that we did for Universal. I got to build Sesame Street. Worked with that guy. Um, anyway, that's how I landed here. Um, Mostly, what I do is try to figure out how to make things work, do problem solving.
Nice.
Yes, it is nice, as you say. I like that. Yeah, I'm like ADD or ADHD, and um, my brain is always churning different solutions. So
So
go ahead.
you got to work on Crazy Mama.
Yeah. While I was in California, Um, when I first went out there, I worked in a scene shop for um, several months. Um, and then I got a job on some Roger Corman films. I did just as a production assistant. I did Death Race 2000. I did Crazy Mama, and we did one more. Um, let's say Jackson County Jail with Yvette Mimieux and Tommy Lee Jones. So I did a lot of work on movies and commercials while I was out there. I was mostly focused on the production side. Worked on a lot of non-union films. I got in the Directors Guild as a first assistant director. And I started working at Universal on a lot of little different TV shows. Did Midnight Madness, a feature over at Disney. Um, Worked on TV series Buck Rogers. What else did I work with? Did a TV series called Harper Valley PTA at Universal. It was like I got in 1980, so it was the early 80s. And then in 84, there were a lot of strikes and stuff in Newark. And we moved the family back to Florida. And I traveled from there for a few years to work on projects around the country. Worked on Miami Vice for a little while, worked on a series up in Chicago called Lady Blue, did a couple of film projects. And then, like I said, in about 89, the studios opened up in Orlando, and I went down there to work, and they kept me fairly busy. Yes. What else did you find that I did?
You must be an art director for Sesame Street 4D.
Yes, that was a lot of fun. I've got actually, I've got, let's see, some pictures. We built a Sesame Street set at Universal, and it was a 3D film. So the process is very slow because they shoot two cameras simultaneously to get the 3D effect, and so it's very very slow going. And the puppeteers are all hidden in the stairs of 123 Sesame Street or in a wall or whatever. So you'd be sitting around for a half an hour waiting for everything to be ready, and Grover would be sitting next to you on a wall, and Grover would turn to you and go, "David, what's taking so long?" And you would turn and you would talk to the puppet because the puppeteer is buried somewhere inside the wall. It was very strange, kind of wonderful.
So, do you have behind the scenes footage or photos of Sesame Street 4D?
Say again?
Do you have behind the scenes footage or photos of Sesame Street 4D?
I do have. Uh, I just happen to have some photos laying there in my junk room here. I've got um, I've got some more photos. If you look on my LinkedIn page, there's a portfolio there that has pictures of a lot of different stuff, including Sesame Street. Um, if I was smart enough, I could go to my laptop and share. I think I got some. I don't know how to do that. Anyway, some later time you could plug that in.
I should follow you on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Verified now.
Mhm.
Following now.
Okay. There's a picture in the portfolio. There's about three or four pictures of the Sesame Street on the in that portfolio. One of the fun things we had to do was there was um, a dream sequence where Bert and Ernie are in the desert sitting on a sand dune, and Ernie slides down a real sand dune while he's being puppeted. These puppeteers inside the sand dune, and he slides down the hill. Had to figure out how to make that work. It was interesting. They would do a blocking rehearsal and position the puppets on the stairs of 123 Sesame Street, for instance. And we had to build like 50 sets of stairs because the head puppeteer would just draw a circle with chalk as where he needed a hole for that particular scene. And we'd cut holes in the stairs, and it was hollow underneath, and the puppeteers would be underneath. And then in like a different angle, maybe one of the puppets moves over or leaves the scene, and we'd have to rebuild the stairs again, cut new holes for the new positions. So it's a very slow process, but tons of fun working with the puppeteers and the puppets.
Nice.
All right. As you say, nice. So have you hooked up with me yet on LinkedIn?
Yes.
Okay, good.
And you worked on a TV show for preschoolers called The Dooley and Pals Show.
Yes, it was an interesting one. It was I don't remember exactly. It was like in 2000, 2001, I think, was the season. Um, some designer had done some work on designing a set for the show. That person was out of New York or something. We never saw him. Some drawings were sent down. And so I was hired really to art direct, get the set built, hire an art crew. We had a prop crew, David Baker, Richard Swim, and Brian Kane. And those three guys had worked with me before on a lot of projects. Two of them are deceased now. Richard Swim is with Universal Creative over in Japan now. Um, and they did most of the fabrication of um, specific props for specific episodes. I think they may have done the puppetry work, the two little fuzzballs in the thing. Um, and then Marty Rich was my construction coordinator. He figured out how to build all the flying saucer stuff, and the robot in the thing was named Marty too. So that was fun.
And do you have a behind the scenes footage or photos of Dooley and Pals?
Well, after you called me, I went back and looked at an episode or two just to remind me. It was a a fun show to work on, um, and I'm probably going to go back and watch some more episodes because I don't know that I ever saw the finished episodes at the time we were working. I probably saw a few of them, but not all of them. It was fun to go back and see all the silliness.
Do you have a favorite episode?
Ah, um, no, I probably do, but I can't remember. It was a while ago. I don't remember. I just remember that we kept getting to invent um, some new gadget, a video screen or a controller or something for an episode. It would be like whatever was needed in that episode. We have to create that technology for Dooley to have. And that was interesting.
Nice. Well, David, thank you so much for your time.
I watched one of your podcasts with the cameraman from Dooley and Pals.
His name is Ben Mesker.
Yeah, I, I remembered his face. Yes.
Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Um, no, um, I'm mostly consulting now on different projects for theme parks, doing illusions and stuff. Um, and it's a lot of fun. I got to do for Universal. I did the living portraits for Harry Potter, the initial R&D on those, and then I created the animated photographs for in the newspapers in Diagon Alley, part of the ride attraction in the queue line. And then for Epic Universe that just opened up, I did a disappearing demigods effect um, that I developed, I don't know, about 2 years ago, but the park's finally open and I got to see it. Turned out really nice. If you just Google Epic Universe disappearing demigods, it'll show you the effect. It's it's not a Pepper's Ghost effect. It's different. It's different, is all I can say. Uh, Pepper's Ghost would give you a transparent creature. This one appears opaque. Figured out a way to do that. That's that's what that's what I love doing. Thank you for
Nice.
thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. And stay tuned for more guests coming up. Until next time, peace.
Peace, Cameron.